Many of you don't know this, but I was a big comic book guy. I would pick up multiple issues weekly. Spider-Man was my favorite superhero, so I would usually gravitate over the Ultimate Spider-Man. I saw a lot of myself in Peter Parker, and this story had great lessons that I carried throughout my life. Over time, it was announced that there was going to be a black Spider-Man named Miles Morales. I was sold instantly. This is everything I ever wanted when I was a kid, seeing my favorite superhero look exactly like me. Day one, I picked up the issue and instantly loved Miles, as he replaced Peter Parker as my favorite superhero. In 2017, Sony put out a teaser for the animated Spider-Man movie they were working on, and Miles Morales was the lead. I wish I could have explained my excitement for it. I saw the movie day one and it became one of my favorite movies of all time, and my favorite movie to come out that year. Recently, the long-awaited sequel released, and somehow the movie surpassed my expectations, currently being my favorite movie of the year. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the movie and talk about what I expect from Beyond the Spider-Verse. If you're new here, my name is Yuno, and now you know. I usually cover manga and a little bit of anime on this channel, but I love Spider-Man and this is my channel, so I can do whatever I want. If you are into manga, feel free to subscribe to the channel. If at any point you like this video, giving it a like would be appreciated. I might do more one-shot type of videos like these, but also check out the Nerdgasm Talk podcast. It's a podcast ran by one of my friends who also runs the Nerd Coalition Studios YouTube page. We talk a little bit more about those things on there. Anyway, on to the video.
Can't stop me now. I said I got you now.
Alright, so I'm going to do a small review and then talk about spoilers. If you want to jump to that part of the video, this is the timestamp for it. This movie picks up 1 year and 4 months after the first movie. Miles is a bit more comfortable with being Spider-Man, but he's having trouble juggling his academic life, his family life, and being Spider-Man altogether. Having all this on his plate while not being able to see his friends from the first movie really takes a toll on him. He meets up with a villain named The Spot, who has an interesting history with Miles. Learning that the character is a threat to the multiverse, Gwen is sent out to stop the Spot. A trip down memory lane leads Miles to go after Gwen and to meet the Spider Society. That's when he meets Miguel. Miguel teaches Miles the harsh reality of being Spider-Man, and he hopes to change fate. One thing I'll say about this movie, it flowed beautifully. I have friends that said this movie really didn't open up until the first hour mark, and I understand that, but I think it's important that we have the normal life showcase within the hero life. The conversations with his mom felt great. The conversations with his dad felt great. I feel like we got a lot of time understanding Miles' relationship with his parents. This story has felt as if it was written alongside with the first movie. Everything was neatly written. There are many things foreshadowed in the first movie that came to light in this movie. You know a movie was good when the fan service and Easter eggs aren't the most interesting part of the movie. Somehow the animation gets even more beautiful than the first movie. When Spider-Verse came out, the animation game changed and many studios try to replicate that, but this movie proves that it's still the GOAT. The score is just as iconic in the first movie. Now, Metro Boomin is handling the soundtrack, which was the best choice ever. There isn't a song as great as Sunflower on the soundtrack, but this soundtrack has a better collection of songs that fit the theme of the movie a lot better than the first one did. Now, the cast. Shameik Moore as Miles is great. I'm not sure how he got his voice to sound very young in the first movie, but in this movie he sounds slightly more mature. If I had a nickel for every time Haley Steinfeld was in a Marvel property where Kingpin was the villain, I would probably have 2 nickels, which isn't a much, but it's strange that it happened twice. Anywho, she was fantastic as Gwen. I really love Gwen's story in this movie. In the first movie, she seems like a pro to this, where here, she has a lot of baggage. I know a lot of people are saying Gwen is trans. As someone who read the Spider-Gwen run, I personally don't think she was trans in this movie. Her story does fall in love with the basic superheroes who is hiding from their parents, as every Spider-Man does. However, the whole point of Spider-Man is that anyone can be under the mask. The story of revealing your identity to your parents is parallel to one coming out to their parents. I can see why people made that connection, so I think it's valid. Oscar Isaac as Miguel is fantastic. I personally didn't care for Miguel as a character in the comics, but Isaac somehow captures the stressed out yet oddly sane personality of Miguel. Now, a lot of you guys are questioning sane. I get that. I don't know how he does it, but he works with different variations of Spider-Man, most of them being variants of Peter Parker, a quirky kid that won't shut up. And somehow, he still hasn't gone insane. Jake Johnson as Peter. I absolutely loved him in New Girl, and this just feels like the same character but older. Issa Rae as Spider-Woman. I honestly wish we got more of her. I liked her character a lot. Daniel Kaluuya as Hobie Brown. Spider-Punk was the MVP of this movie. I need a short series with him, please Sony, please. Jason Schwartzman as the Spot impressed me the most. He captured the villain that starts off as a joke to a horrifying villain excellently. Now I could probably go all day with the cast, but I'll stop here. Overall, this movie is really a 10 out of 10. I love this movie. Now for spoilers. If you haven't seen this movie, well, one, you're living under a rock. You have more than enough time. I think over a month has passed. When the first movie came out, it was titled Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 and later changed to Across the Spider-Verse. I kept this in mind while watching the movie. It was a very Empire Strikes Back like ending, leaving off on an insane cliffhanger, and it got me thinking what can possibly happen next. Now before I get into the goods, please delay this movie. Do not overwork the animators. I have no problem waiting 5 years, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the community and the fans of this movie do not mind waiting 5 years for this movie to come out. We already waited 5 years for this one. So please take your time, treat your animators well. I'll start with the biggest thing, Miles G. Morales. Having Miles go to another world where no Spider-Man exists and seeing a different variation of him was very clever. A lot of people are instantly going to think Miles G is evil. Now after some thoughts, I disagree. I honestly think Miles is good, just darker. A world without Spider-Man is a dangerous world, meaning villains are running around causing chaos. Looking at the city at the end of the movie, there are several fires in the distance. This could be like Gotham, and Miles G could be like the city's Batman. As the Prowler, he takes on the darker role in protecting the little guy, stealing from big corporations to keep a roof over his head. In Into the Spider-Verse, we saw Aaron Davis never seem fully happy about being the Prowler. It was a job to him. I could see this universe Aaron Davis lead his nephew in a different direction after his brother dying. I could also see this being a motivation for Miles. Seeing his father die brought him to the point where he wants to protect everyone. I could see Miles helping Miles G. Morales into cleaning up the city and shaping a hero in this world. Spider-Man Civil War. Gwen sets up a team of Spider-Man consisting of Peter B. Parker, Spider-Man India, Spider-Bite, MVP, Spider-Man Noir, Penny Parker, and Spider-Ham. They are all set to go and save Miles. On Miguel's side, we saw Ben Reilly and Jessica Drew were recruited. Ben was taken out of commission by Gwen, and Jessica Drew seems like she switched sides. I can see Miguel getting upset and forming a team of more aggressive Spider-Man. The two that come to mind are the symbiote black suit Spider-Man and the Superior Spider-Man. Personally, I believe the Superior Spider-Man would have been more in line with Miguel's motives in the movie due to the character accuracy. For those who don't know, the Superior Spider-Man is Otto Octavius inside Peter Parker's body after Peter died. It was a really good run of comics, you should check it out. I can see Miguel bringing them two to go after Gwen in the group. The canon was a great story beat because it told a fresh Spider-Man story that I don't think we ever gotten. I could be totally wrong on that, so comment down below if I am. We've seen in every single media of Spider-Man that suffering comes with donning the mask. In this story, it asks, could Miles be a Spider-Man without going through the hardships of sacrifice? This story is also a great allegory to the fans, the die-hard, annoying comic book fans that feel like everything needs to follow a canon or everything will be destroyed. Also to those dumbasses that constantly say that Miles isn't Spider-Man. Guess what? He is. In the movie, we already saw two signs of fate changing already. The first one I wish hit a little bit harder, but it was when Peter was talking to Miles, telling him the only reason he had a child is because he met Miles. Miles was never supposed to be bitten by the spider, so with that happening, meeting Peter changed his whole outlook on life. The second time was when Captain Stacy resigned. In the canon, a captain that's close to the Spider-Man character is supposed to die. With him resigning, that pretty much guarantees that he is in the clear. I do believe Miles will be able to change the canon, however I do believe the bill will come due. In the beginning of the movie, the counselor talking to Miles states that he wants to have his cake at 82 until he walks in and says, unless you bake 2 cakes. Later, we see him bringing 2 cakes to the party, and when he arrives, they are both messed up. He's eventually going to have to learn to prioritize 1 cake. This could be foreshadowing to him trying to juggle being the hero while not risking anyone's life. His father is the one we see in the vision dying. With this full focus on saving him, it's highly likely that his mother dies instead. There's already a storyline where him and his father are trying to understand each other better. Usually, people understand each other better when one person close to both of them dies. Now, this has the potential to be the best superhero trilogy in film. And from my favorite superhero, I love that. When the next movie come out, I will likely be talking about this, but please, Sony, take your time, delay the movie. Do not rush the animators at all. Do not overwork them, please. Anyway, if you guys want to see me make a video on that, subscribe to the channel, like the video. This was a bit out of my realm of content, but I do love Spider-Man, and if I can find an excuse to talk about him, I will. If there's any other non-anime or manga related things you want me to talk about, comment them down below. I'll try to throw something together. And because YouTube loves engagement, comment down below your rating of the film and things you would like to see in the next movie. Thanks for watching, and until next time, you know where to find you know.